Ooh, this is a fast car. This might be the GT McLaren, but trust me, it's fast enough. Welcome back to the AutoTrader studio, where today we've got another preview for you. And as you can see, something rather special. It's a McLaren GT. Now, McLaren are no strangers to the world of motorsport or indeed fast production cars. Speaking of motorsport, they have exploits in IndyCar, Formula One, a history in Le Mans, and more recently, a successful GT3 campaign in the Endurance Series, and indeed a customer racing program. Now, all of this motorsport prowess has been placed into many of its road cars over the years, the most famous of which is, of course, the Gordon Murray-penned F1, which debuted in the early 90s when McLaren was still called McLaren Cars. It is still considered by many a journalist and car enthusiast as the greatest car ever produced. Then between 2010 and 2011, McLaren went through a dramatic transformation where its name changed to McLaren Automotive, after which the MP412C, the brand's first pucker road car, if you exclude things like the Mercedes SLR McLaren, came out. Since then, we've seen several McLaren models debut, but this one next to me is quite different, you see. It's called a GT. It stands for Grand Tourer. So instead of chasing the ultimate lap time or trying to be the fastest thing on the planet, this car is aimed more at luxury, comfort, with a blend of performance. Stepping inside the GT, we can see that McLaren's going for a more luxurious slant. Now, being a GT or Grand Tourer, the thing is you normally expect the engine to be up front, but this being a McLaren, it sits in the middle here, behind me. But McLaren have done some pretty cool things inside to ensure that this is more of a GT car than a traditional McLaren. In place of the traditional visible V8, you've now got a carpeted rear loading bay and a front trunk or fruit. Now, this gives you a combined 570 litres of luggage space. McLaren claim at the back here you can get a set of golf clubs and that the V8 won't intrude upon the cabin in any way. In fact, they say that that mat at the back there will not exceed 40 degrees Celsius, while up front, that fruit or frunk can accommodate an overnight bag with ease. Other niceties inside, there's a lot more emphasis on luxury with more leather covered surfaces and a general approach to a more refined and luxurious feel to the interior. For instance, this sunroof you can adjust by dragging your finger over the top here, and that allows you to adjust the amount of light that comes into the cabin. Other niceties are the digitized instrument cluster, which gives you a battery life cluster, which on a supercar that is often parked in the garage on a trickle charger is quite a nice addition. You get the standard McLaren infotainment system, which is basically like a smartphone, but it doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto functionality, which is a bit strange. Other than that, other niceties, you get a Bowers & Wilkins premium sound system, which is obviously an option, and there's a general feel that McLaren have added a bit of weight and a bit of leather and luxurious appointments to the interior to try and compete with the likes of the Bentley Continental GT and the Aston Martin DBS Volante. Welcome to the McLaren GT, and gotta say, there's not too much GT about this thing. Couldn't wait to get out of that studio though, just to take this thing for a drive. Listen to that sound. Turbo noises, just, I don't know if you can hear that. So of course, the GT, despite the fact that McLaren claim that this is a Grand Tourer, it is really just a more supple and comfortable supercar that's better for long journeys. I don't foresee a Bentley Continental GT customer or one of the large Mercedes potential customers going out and buying a McLaren GT. But for someone who's out to try and purchase something from the McLaren stable or supercar stable that is really comfortable relative to other supercars out there, and want something that's not as violently fast as, let's say, a 720S McLaren or a GT2 RS Porsche or any of those supercars, this is a really good option. I mean, it's not exactly slow. The 4-litre twin turbocharged engine is very similar to the one used in the 720S. It just has smaller turbochargers, a revised exhaust manifold, which makes the car sound a bit deeper. It's got a bit of a throatier V8 sound to it, and it's got different air intakes too, among other changes. It produces 456 kilowatts and 630 newton meters of torque. Weighs about just 1,540 kilograms, which means it's around 80 kilos heavier than a Golf 8 GTI, but it produces 2.5 times the power of a Golf GTI and nearly twice the torque. This is an exceptionally fast car. Holy wow. It sounds pretty cool. I mean, some people have said that these McLaren V8s lack a bit of character, but it just pulls so hard. It sounds really good. They've done a really good job with the car. The other thing is, there's no bone-jarring ride quality in here either. It's all pretty relaxed. I mean, it's not super soft or anything. It's just nice. Woo, this is a fast car. This might be the GT McLaren, but trust me, it's fast enough. The thing about the GT is it's just so easy to drive, and so easy to drive quickly as well. Oi, that is a fast car. This thing keeps you on your toes. I can't believe how supple the car is on a road like this. You just don't expect something that is, I mean, it's not incredibly low, but you just don't expect something with a carbon fiber monocoque and that looks like this to ride quite as nicely as this does through here. It's really, really good. I mean, genuinely impressive. Those turbo sounds. I'm such a child, but I love it. Actually pretty good quality in here. I mean, I have seen a few reviews. I haven't driven a McLaren since the MP412C, but I have heard issues saying that there was a bit of a quality problem and things of that nature. But when I'm in here, look, it doesn't feel like a luxury car, but it's definitely got a lot of nice features and some good build quality from what I can tell. This particular unit doesn't even have 3,000 kilometers on yet, so it's still pretty new, but everything feels pretty well put together, and all the areas that matter, all the surfaces that you touch are either leather or metal. So like the indicator stalks are made out of metal, the cruise control stalks, the gear paddles, the steering wheel is wrapped in leather. Everything you touch around here is leather, aluminium, or some kind of nice metal, which is a really good thing. So I just had to launch it again. That brings me to the pros and cons of the McLaren GT. Let's go through what I like and dislike about the car. Well, what I like is how McLaren has engineered something with a slightly more supple suspension that sounds really good and works well on the road. I think this is possibly going to be the best McLaren to drive on the road. It's certainly the McLaren that you're going to want to take on more road trips. If you want to go on a Sunday breakfast run, then yeah, maybe the 720S is for you. But if you want to do anything longer than that, let's say a cross-country trip, this is most certainly the McLaren for you. I think that brings me to two downsides of the car. I think in a way,
by naming it GT, McLaren has they've put it in a bit of a no man's land, because it's not a pucker GT car. It's not going to rival a Bentley Continental GT, but it's also not going to be a supercar out and out in terms of the performance it offers. Look, don't get me wrong, it's not slow. 328 km/h top speed and 0 to 100 in about 3.3 seconds. But I think that it puts it in a bit of a no man's land. And then we get to the actual performance of the car. It's held back a bit, obviously, so it's not anywhere near as quick as a 720S. And the brakes, I feel it's a little bit, I wouldn't say under braked, but I think having experienced the brakes on a lot of super sports cars, I think these brakes could be a bit better, and I've got a feeling they're going to be a lot better. We may have a go in a 720S soon, so I'm sure I'll find out then. But I think those are a few of the issues. Another pro for me is this is at 4.8 billion rand. It's not exactly an attainable car by any stretch of the imagination, but in many ways it's the McLaren that you actually should go out and buy, because it just makes the most sense to me. Our roads are imperfect. I've been driving this road here, hasn't got any potholes, but it's still got its undulations and imperfections. And if I was in anything harder than this, I would not really be enjoying myself. So I suppose it's it's the best McLaren for the road. And that's where it really counts. How often do you find yourself on a racetrack? And if you do find yourself on a racetrack, I don't think this car would be too bad in that regard. What do you guys think of the McLaren GT? Do you like it? What else would you like to see us review in these AutoTrader quick reviews? Let us know in the comments section below. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. We appreciate your support. And until the next one, cheers.